artists in nation building. And the second topic will be on genetically modified organisms. We'll start with the artists, the musical artists, and there is considerable concern that the artists we have today, the musical artists, are in two categories. There are those clearly whose performance, whose way of life is about building this nation, but there are others whose influence is largely negative, to say the least. And you see that negativity in the way in the dress code. You see the negativity in the language they use. You see the negativity in clearly lack of a powerful message that should be conveyed to the nation. And that is why, if you remember, if somebody were to ask you which Ugandan artists can you recall, the likes of Dube, the likes of Jim Reeves, the likes of, we used to have one Ugandan artist long ago, Jimmy Reeves? No. What was the name? Kirunda? Katumba. That quality we don't have today. And our artists should be asking themselves, what should I do that I will be remembered? Even long after I have gone, what will I be remembered for? It's not surprising that the artists we have today are performing and tomorrow they are forgotten. No impact, no influence. But the damage they are causing on our cultural values is one that is going to live on because young people are watching. And they think it's fashionable that they should behave the way they do. Many of our artists today are not contributing positively insofar as protection, promotion of our values, cultural values, is concerned. And you see that in their dress code, which is totally un-African, and they have copied these from Europe and elsewhere, God bless them, and they think that is the way to go. Our view is that our artists should promote our side of life. Our artists should be champions of what is good in our society. Our artists should be the fountain of honor when it comes to defending interests of this nation. But the type we have today don't measure at all. Recently, I think over the weekend, you saw some hyped competition between two individuals, but when you examine in detail what they were really after, you will be put to task to know. But of course, they make a lot of noise. People are excited. People attend. But what is the essence of what message are you defending? What message are you promoting? You are coming on stage dressed in a totally un-African, indecent way, and you think that's right. And our people are being misled. So we want to appeal to our artists that the God-given gift they have should be used to promote interests of this nation, should be used to provide fertile ground that is a basis for our young people to grow up knowing about their country, about our values, about the integrity that citizens should promote. I'm afraid that really we don't have artists that measure to the standards of those famous artists you've heard about. And no wonder tomorrow when they are off stage, nobody will even know that they existed. Why? Because they never addressed issues concerning our society. They don't. And we want to appeal to them to use that God-given talent, which not all of us have, to use it positively, to use it to build our nation, to use it to enhance our integrity as a nation, to use it to promote what is best in our society. I'm afraid that many of our artists don't measure to standards that qualify them to be remembered the way we are talking about past artists who are long gone, but their names are still behind. Little wonder that when these artists we have currently leave stage, nobody ever remembers them, nobody, simply because they did not address issues concerning our nation. They did not defend our values. They were good students of foreign values. Our artists are good students, absolutely first class students of what is foreign, but not indigenous, not cultural, not African. They are excellent students. I think they would score highly if there was any assessment done. But that's a shame. It's not what we deserve. What we deserve is promotion of who we are, promotion of our values, articulation of concerns society has, concerns that we have as we aspire to be a prosperous nation. So my colleagues will add on to this of this nation. Not only that, they are injuring our values, discarding them in favor of foreign values, and that is a shame. We need to be proud of who we are. We need to retain our dress code. Decency instead of indecency must be promoted. What we see is a mixture of many things that one would not be proud of. Therefore, want to say that we really appeal to our artists to use that God-given gift that they have, to serve our people, to serve ourselves, and not really to do a copycat performance that is disgraceful, and that is to say the least. You saw that over the weekend, some of you who saw the performance. Thank you for that. Can I invite my colleagues to...
You have said it all. But also it's my concern, because music as such is a form of employment to our younger generation. Moreover, it is again a type of creation for those who want to relax and brush off stress. So we encourage it. But much as we encourage it, these should be people who are performing for the public. They are public figures. So they should mind the way they present themselves, the way they dress up. They should mind their language. They should mind the way they act when they are on grace, not to be a disgrace. Let them be graceful, but not a disgrace to our society. Because as I've said, they really contribute something for our development in the country, but let them use it wisely. That would be my advice.
Enhance the experience and the thoughts of the audience. Being as a philosopher, I believe an artist has something to communicate, something to which the audience can perceive, and in a way they have a perfect or a clear, perception of the reality. But what do we see today? Our artists, they come and dress half naked. Children are there at home watching them. And tomorrow, children learn by what? By copying. Tomorrow they will also begin behaving like those artists. Is this what our artists want the new generation or generation after them to copy? I think there is need for moderation in whatever we do. We need also to thank some of our artists. We cannot, throw a child with the bath tap. It is not all the artists are not doing to the expectation or behaving to the expectations. There are those who are brought to the thoughtful critique to our political, economic, religious, social system. We have artists who have condemned the birth system in this country. We have the artists who have also talked about the economic degeneration of our country. There are those who have condemned the bad things which are happening in the religious circles and also in the political circle. We need to promote and to encourage those kind of artists to continue with what they are doing. Not all of them are engaged in this negative kind of performance. There are those who are actually doing well, and we need to promote and we need to encourage those kind of artists. In a way, we will also, and they will also be what? Inspiring the young talents in our society. This is apparently what I can say about the performance, the contributions of the artists in this country as far as nation building is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nate. That a nation can be derailed away from what we are known for and to something else that will not serve our nation. The promotion of nudity is totally un-African, absolutely un-African. You'd have to be crazy to promote nudity as if it's a way of life that Ugandans are proud of.
If I can supplement.
Yes.
In my religion, they put it on the altar, they place it on the altar for people to adore, to worship, to venerate. But today we see young ladies dressing themselves half naked. The breasts are outside, pointing like they're saying, "The Lord be with you." Their knickers are outside. Equally so with men. And they call damage. They are damaging their reputation, damaging their names, and their future, and the future of the generation to come. Only one thing which should be exposed, the Blessed Sacrament, but not the breast. Because our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit.
That's right. Thank you very much. Communication and technology, a national guidance to really style up and give guidance to this nation. If we do not, then everybody is going to end up doing things which are wrong. Ministry of Ethics and Integrity, the two should work together to give guidance to this nation. What we are seeing now, taking pride in nudity, indecency, are things which, if we don't have them controlled, will completely damage this country's interests. Our country today is one that causes a great deal of concern, that we are on a tipping edge of immorality being sanitized as a respectable way of life. There is that danger, and clearly you see it in Nyege, is it Nyege? You see it in many things that are going wrong, and people don't see anything wrong with what is going on. That is evidence that, morally speaking, we are as a nation in trouble. And the custodians of a situation that really is decent, promotes morality, promotes ethics, promotes decency, is one that is highly exercised, really. That's why we are appealing to government to sit back and be committed to giving guidance. The good thing with guidance is that all of us now grow up, do our work, knowing what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. The nation, citizens need to know the do's and don'ts of our existence. But we are losing that track, and in the process, of course, you can see that anything goes. Tomorrow you'll find it possible somebody just choosing to go naked because it is his or her right on the streets of Kampala. That is the climax of immorality that you can imagine. So there is need for urgent attention. If the country loses out on acquiring or maintaining, defending our standards ethically, morally, we will be in trouble. And of course there are signs we are already. When you see roads being full of potholes, it's not because government didn't spend money. It's because money was stolen. And those who did it got away with it. And the message is you can't get away with anything. So the country needs to wake up, our government needs to wake up to be able to do things that all of us universally, doesn't matter whether you are employed or unemployed, whatever you are, there has to be standards of morality in the nation. And these have to be repeated, people have to be reminded, so that if you violate these standards, these values, of course the law should be there to deal with you. The issue of commitment to these standards is one that we need to be concerned about. The issue of the commitment to implement, to cause what we have agreed to work, is really one that we need to emphasize. If we do not, people will begin taking everything casually. People will begin, and that is lawlessness. The problem with lawlessness is that, of course, that situation invites insecurity, instability, disunity, more poverty. It's a terrible situation that ultimately works on contributing to the weakness of our country.
Who happen to attend such kind of immoral adverts, immoral, performances and the rest. Well, most Ugandans lack self-moderation. Morality has gone low. Morality, by definition, is the common standard accepted by the society. And if any member of that society happen to go astray, you need to call that person to order. You need to sanitize. You need to conscientize. Our work today, we are sending a message of sanitation, of sanitizing the society. We are trying to tell the society that, yes, certain things are not going well. You recall the other day, you media, when the deputy speaker happened to attend the Kololo's function with the wife. When the wife was cheering somebody, a certain artist, she stood up to say, yeah! That was where your cameras was focusing in order to sell that person. That you see, even the wife of the deputy speaker was in support of this of this artist. Of course, most of the politicians around, they look for cheap popularity. They want to think that, I'm popular because I'm siding with this person, this artist who is so famous. I've attended a function of so-and-so who is loved by the youth. Therefore, I'm also loved. In any case, you need to moderate yourself. I, for one, I can attend. But when I sense that there is nyege going to take place in Bunyoro, I will not appear in Masindi. I will not go to such a place. You need to set a standard that should guide your what? That should guide your activities. That is all that I can say. Moralists are the mirrors of the society. And not all mirrors can be broken. Even a piece can still be picked and an image can be reflected on. We are trying to say that much as the society is getting broken, the immorality is taking the lead, we can still bring back sanity in our country, in our society. Thank you.
Dealing with a situation that is extremely delicate. What you are seeing is a collapse of those who should nurture. It's no longer anybody's business to nurture anything. It's a free-for-all situation. You are quite right that parents have a role, schools have a role, government has a role, and that's why we are calling on government to take some decisive action about this. If we do not, it's a question of lawlessness that is going to obtain. Lawlessness in everywhere, in the home, in government, literally everywhere. And when there is that state of lawlessness, where there are no standards, anything goes, where there are no values, where the weak are dependent on the strong exploit. No, there's nobody to point a finger that says, wait a minute. That state situation contributes to state weakness. And when a state is weak, it's dominated by stronger nations. It is exploited by stronger nations. It is oppressed by stronger nations. And in that circumstance, of course, more poverty, more underdevelopment takes place. So the issue of morality, the issue of values is at the heart of who we are as individuals. It's not a joke. And you are right, really. I see here most of you are not parents, you're still young, but I'm sure you would appreciate that in your homes there are do's and don'ts. Oh yes, if they're not there, well, then that's really trouble waiting. But they must be there. And if you violate them, the parents will punish you. Punishment is part of really a good upbringing. Similarly, in a nation, there must be values, there must be standards, there must be do's and don'ts. But what we are seeing now, that invites the likes of SHEEBAH and Cindy to be naked on stage, and they are admired for being naked. My children are watching, and it's very sad, I can tell you. It's something must be done to arrest this decline we are getting. It's not a joke, and that explains even our workplaces, where managers or whatever will take all the money and your allowances are not given. They will tell you it's up to you to fend for yourself. Lawlessness. So really we must do everything we can. Our artists are reminding us that our country is in trouble. And it's not only artists. You'll find this everywhere you go, not far away from where we are now. You see people who take pride in being indecent, and they are leaders. But of course, you now look back to where they came from. Absence of parental care, absence of community care. You know, they grow up, they become leaders, but have no notion that actually there are standards that must be defended and respected. It's as simple as that, but it's really urgent. Time is not on our side.
Seriously religious. And that's why the framer of the independence coined the word, for God and my country. We are not at that extremist position like the Afghanistan's and the Middle East and the rest. What we are saying, we have a standard which we must follow. We are not pushing people to go to that extremism of the Israelis kind of what? Afghanistan kind of religiosity. We are not pushing people to that. But we are saying, as a religious country, God should be number one. And we should promote what is godly. And what is not godly does not and should not even exist, should not be promoted in our country. And you are the one who is promoting that. Not the SHEEBAHs, not those artists. Because should you stop promoting those nudity? Why do you take a picture of a person who is appearing with only knickers and you post it on WhatsApp? And you want people to watch and appreciate that, yes, this is the style which should be promoted. Our children are watching. Mind about your child. Mind about the children who will be coming 10 years, 20 years, 30 years to come. How will they be appearing on stage? This is what we are trying to say. It is extremely wrong. We need to desist from that.
Empisa zaffe bwe tunaaba nga tetuzirongoosa tujja kwesanga mu buzibu bunene bujja kutuleetera akatabanguko mu ggwanga, kutuleetera obwavu, kutuleetera entalo n'ebirala ng'ebyo ebitalina omugaso. Kyova olaba nti ensonga eno twandisabye gavumenti eteekemu amaanyi okusinga gwe yakakola kati okulaba nti tulwanyisa ekintu kino. Abayimbi baffe ba miringo ebiri waliwo abo abakola boogera bulungi nga bakola emirimu mirungi, naye waliwo abalala bye bakola si byaffe abaddugavu, babijja ebweru, nga mu mbeera zaffe si kirungi okubeera awo ng'okola bye tulaba ku stage abantu baffe nga bakola. You want to say something?
Yeah. Nze ndowooza tetuganyisa
kintu ekijja kuleetera eggwanga lyaffe okuba nti likkirizibwa nti eggwanga lya mirembe. Okay.
Honorable Nsaba Buturo, obugoye buno bwe bambala abayimbi bwe bunyumira abalabi oba ababalaba, mwandyagadde bambale gomesi kubanga bo bagamba obugoye bwe bayambala bwe bunyumira ababalaba.
Kati ekintu ekyo kyabuuza kirungi kubanga kiraga nti we tutuuse kati wabi tetukyakkiriza, tetukyategeera nti waliwo ebyaffe nga baddugavu bye tusaanidde okuteeka mu maaso gaffe. Kugamba olutalo tuli kumpi okuwangulwa. Nabandibadde nga bagamba nti ebintu bino wange si byaffe, abo nabo tebakyayogera bwe batyo, baabivaako dda nga bagamba nti eyo ye fashion mu Bungereza biri bwe bityo n'awalala, naffe katukole ebintu ng'ebyo. Ekikulu kyandibadde okukkiriza ng'Abanyayuganda nti waliwo embeera yaffe oba oyagala kulaba omuntu nga yambadde bwereere omanyi kyokola naye si byaffe okugenda ku stage n'okola bintu ng'ebyo ebyo si byaffe banange enkola eyo si yaffe naye amazima gali nti abaana baffe n'abakadde obiraba batandise okukkiriza ebintu ebyo nga bitulaga nti tuli mu buzibu bunene 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 kyetaagibwa wabeerewo ekikolebwa bwe tunaaba nga tukkiriza enkola eno eriwo kati ojja kusanga kavuyo wonna gwe tugenda mu maka gaffe gwe tukolera buli wantu wonna mu ggwanga lyaffe